Hello, good morning, friends. Hope you all are doing well. Today, I just would like to briefly speak about the importance and the need for online education in the universities and especially even in theological colleges. Recently, I heard of a story of Julius Yego, who is a javelin thrower who won a gold medal at the Olympics, 2016 Olympics recently, and it became a great sensational news, partly because of his claim that he learned the game or the sport through YouTube. So, and it's so fantastic to hear and observe what's happening in the world with this technology and newly developed modes of communication. So, partly today, I just would like to show the advantages and the disadvantages of education through online system and there has been a resistance over the years, partly because it is a non-traditional mode of education, and there has been several questions raised, and we want to see some evaluation of those questions raised, and we want to see the advantages and disadvantages together, and we want to see how we can navigate through these issues, especially. So, first we'll begin with the disadvantages or the questions that are raised against the online system. First, people raise usually the question of student-teacher interaction. Yes, definitely there is a distance between the teacher and student, but Michael Lawson in his book Professor's Puzzle, he wonderfully explains how that barrier can be overcome. So teacher can facilitate a discussion group or organize a discussion group in which he or she would be able to communicate with the students ahead of the class and also along with the class and yes, traditional mode, definitely there is a more viability for the teacher to be able to interact with the students then and there itself and take questions and to see whether the students are following or the pulse of the students. But definitely that would be missing part in the traditional online mode of education. But given the option that still you can manage a discussion group and make a teacher aware of the question, and it's just a different set of dimensions where teacher need to be aware of and student need to be aware of, and they have to make certain adjustments. That's it. And the next question that usually raised is about the community. Usually, as we all know, the learning happens better in community, and we miss that in online education. But again, for this second question, we can easily have a solution in a way that today we see more and more groups on those virtual reality, especially with social networking sites that are available today. We see several communities being formed and very actively engaged in conversation. So that can be one way of nurturing a community, a learning community through online. But does that replace the original setting? No, definitely not. But I think it has its own advantages of helping people to connect over the boundaries of this world, like the boundaries of nations, and they can come together and discuss in the real time at any place and anywhere at any time. So that's I think this is something which can be overcome easily. And the third one is the accusation that the online learning system doesn't have the strategy or the guidance of a structural formation of a course, or the institutional guidance, and partly because the students are the one who choose what they want to do, and they want to enroll for courses, and there might not be a guidance. But I think we are at present at a stage where online education has been so much developed that you are actually properly guided through, and you have the material, you have the curriculum, you know what you're going to do before even starting the program. So I don't think that's a major barrier, considering the advantages and considering the advances that we made in this direction. So obviously, if I had to make what are the other difficulties with online mode of education, I would say maybe feedback delay in feedback, or something like maybe sometimes it is distractive and people may not be serious, and difficult to manage the study groups, definitely. So these are the issues I think even the traditional mode of education has, and it depends on the motivation of the student, and the spirit of the student and the teacher should actually drive. Given these issues and the issues, I think even though there are legitimate questions to be addressed, but still there is a scope for online education and to navigate through these challenges in order to overcome the barriers. And then we would like to move on to the advantages of online learning system, especially as a theology student and teacher myself. I feel online system to be a blessing. Partly, if I want to share my own testimony about using the online system, I had to take a TOEFL exam recently for my higher studies, and interestingly, I felt maybe I would just take the help of internet and then take the exam, and I never went to any professional class or anything. I just bought the material and then went through the some of the good material that is out there on the internet and used them, and I was very much satisfied. I should say it was a great experience, and I could score a decent score on it, and definitely it was less expensive. I don't have to spend a lot of money, and the material was authentic. If I had to say a drawback in that, maybe it took a lot of time for me to search and get the relevant material, but still it was worth pursuing. So I just want to briefly explain about the advantages of online mode of education. The first one would be it gives time to the student to process the information at his own pace. We all know this is one of the difficulties in traditional mode of education, where the students who are introverts, the students who take more time to process the knowledge, usually struggle to cope up with the teacher or the content that is going on in the class. But online mode gives this wonderful privilege of getting through the material and working through the material as many times as possible and as long as possible, and that would actually help them to grasp the material. And definitely I see the next major important contribution is the effective cost of the online education. So I know several of my friends who are on student loans, and that's just terrible. Thousands of dollars they have to set back, and they are worried about their education, and some of them switch programs just because they are unable to pay. And online mode of education gives them flexibility, and it's a great thing. They can pay less amount of money and study more courses, and that's a great blessing too. And the next advantage I would see in online education is the accessibility to the institutions or the online education system across the world. So if a student who is interested in a particular university, and he cannot come to that university maybe because of the geographical constraints or the family issues or whatever, but still we cannot his learning cannot be curtailed by those physical barriers. He can study or she can study from the place where they are. So this is a great blessing and exciting part, definitely for most of the people across the world. And yes, like the traditional mode of education, online education also requires a work on the part of the student to be self-motivated and self-disciplined, and to come back to the videos, to come back to the material that has been distributed, and they have to be intentional about doing stuff. And definitely these are the things that mark, I think, the online education system. If I had to assess the advantages and disadvantages of both the online education system and the traditional mode of education, and if I had to take a stand, the better thing maybe I would come up with is a hybrid course, in order to not to miss the experience of a campus life or campus learning. I would rather make a provision for the students to be able to do some courses on the on class, so that they would not miss the reality. And definitely, and as they choose, they can also go for online classes. I think the integration of traditional mode of education and online classes will be a great blessing for students in the upcoming days, and I see several universities moving in this direction. So I think today the question is not about whether we should use online education or not, but it is more about how we use it, and how effectively we can plan the programs and make it user friendly for the students and as well as the teachers. And Michael Lawson gives extraordinary principles, and along with other scholars out there, they are helping the teachers to come up with proper methodology and proper way of communicating things. And it definitely requires a partial education of how things work in this format for the student as well as the teacher. Teachers have to understand and educate themselves that online education system is slightly different from the traditional mode of education, and they have to equip themselves for this challenge. And students also, on their part, they should understand that they have to be intentional about what they are doing, and they should also take necessary things to be done. So in summary, I would like to say that online mode of education is growing, and it has its own advantages and disadvantages, and definitely more and more as we progress towards the education reforms in the education system, I think online education will become more transformed and become more user friendly for both teachers and students in the days to come. And I look forward. I'm excited to see how the technology would be blended together, and how the technology and the communication forms that are emerging will actually help the students